Once you're comfortable and seated, can you state your full name for the record and spell your last name, please?
Tyler Badaracco, Badaracco.
Thank you. Prosecutor?
Sir, can you tell us what you do for a living?
I'm an operations manager for an electrical contracting business.
Are you actually an electrician?
I've grown up in the trade.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you some questions about your role in a certain fire company. Are you a member of volunteer fire company?
Yes, sir.
And where?
Colts Link,
Okay, and approximately how long have you been a member of that fire company?
roughly 19 years.
Just going to ask you to keep your voice up a little bit just so everyone can hear you. Okay. So you said about 19 years?
Yes.
Okay. I want to draw you back to November 20th of 2018. Do you remember that time frame?
Yes.
And what was your role in the fire company back then?
I was the chief of the department.
Okay. Now, specifically, I want to refer to the early afternoon of November 20th, 2018. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
Do you remember if you received a call regarding a fire in Colts Neck?
Yes, I did.
Do you know where you were at the time you received that call?
I was at work on a project in the Meadowlands.
The Meadowlands up north?
Yes.
Now, as a result of that, did you do anything?
I got my stuff together and headed down to the fire.
Okay. So when you say the fire, do you recall the address?
15 Willowbrook.
Okay. Now, do you recall approximately what time you arrived at the scene there?
It was between 1:45 and 2 o'clock.
Do you recall whether or not you went to the firehouse first or to the residence?
I went to the firehouse first to get my chief's vehicle, and then I headed to the fire.
Okay. And upon arrival at 15 Willowbrook, can you just tell us generally what you observed?
There was still heavy smoke and an active fire ongoing. There was a lot of agencies on scene, police, fire, EMS. Their fire operations was well underway at that time.
Okay. Now, just for purposes of some clarification, I just want to show you I want to show you some photos from S1E in 15 Willowbrook. Is it okay if Andy, Monica, is it okay if I publish some photos? Okay. Can we have the back table, please? Thank you. And again, this is S1E. I'm going to ask if you could put up slide 3, please. Do you recognize what's depicted in that photo?
Yes, that's the front of the residence of 15 Willowbrook.
Okay. Now, is that a fair depiction of what the scene looked like upon your arrival that day?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as far as like where the fire was worse, would it be in the front or the back of the house visually?
Visually, it would be towards the front left side, called the AB corner.
Okay, you say AB, so we talk about A being in the front of the house, B being going around clockwise?
Right.
So the B side would that be the east side of the residence?
Yes.
Okay. Could I have slide 12, please? You recognize that?
Yes, sir.
And what does that show?
That's also the front of the house in that AB corner with heavy fire blowing out of the windows.
Can I just have slide 11, please, as well? Do you recognize that photo?
Yes, that's the east side, the B side of the residence, and also showing part of the back that heavy fire is showing.
Okay. The area just, there's a firefighter in that photo, correct?
Yes.
And is that you or someone else?
That's one of our guys.
Okay. But it's not you?
No.
Now, just underneath where the water's being shot, is that the entrance to the basement?
Yes.
Now, your guys, as you said, members of the Colts Neck Fire Department, do you recall approximately how many of your guys were there that day?
On the initial, we had 7 guys from our department there.
Were there more that came later?
Yes.
Now, during the course of operations like this, do people need to get breaks and things like that?
Correct.
Okay. Now, as far as upon your arrival, were you briefed by anyone at the scene, like a commander or anything like that?
Yes. The ex-chief at the time, Mike Burke, he had the scene He was the incident commander with the help of one of the Naval Weapons Station Earl Chiefs. When I got there, I had a briefing with him, did a 360 on the house, and we went from there.
Okay. Now, where, if you know, were the guys from your department upon your arrival?
The guys from my department were in this side of the house, on the east side, and as well as the front side of the residence.
Could I just also have slide 9, please? S1E. Do you recognize what's depicted in that photograph?
This is the rear of the residence.
Okay, does that accurately depict observations that you made upon arrival that day?
Yes,
Okay. So you said your guys are in the basement, is that accurate?
correct.
Now, I just want to ask you, what was your role once you got there as the fire chief?
Managing fire suppression.
Okay, and how do you manage fire suppression? Could you tell us about that?
Incident command. There was multiple chiefs and multiple other township agencies that were there assisting in fire suppression. So staffing, resources, staging.
Things like deciding like who needs a break and how do we get more guys to replace them and things like that?
Correct.
Okay. Now, obviously, at some point that day, you're ultimately going to leave the scene, correct? Is that a
You
yes?
have to say yes or no.
We're just recording, just need to be clear. So at some point you did, based upon the status of the fire?
Yes. Later on that evening, I left for some time.
Was that because the fire was, under control or out or something else?
Fire was out. Overhaul was complete. We remained on scene to monitor any hot spots or any flare-ups for that location. So we left the crew on scene overnight.
Okay. When you first arrived that day, as the fire chief, and this is your town, obviously, correct?
Correct.
Do you ask about utilities when you get there?
Yes.
Okay, when we talk about utilities, what are you asking about?
To know the status of the gas and electric into the residence, mainly to make sure that with guys operating on the interior that there aren't any other potential issues with them operating inside with electrocution or additional flame.
Okay, without telling us specifically what people told you, did you learn whether or not the gas had been shut off?
At that time, I don't recall getting brought up to date on the gas.
Okay, what about the electric?
The electric, yes.
Did you specifically ask how the electric was turned off?
We were told when I was there, the Jersey Central representative came up to the command post and said that he disabled the electric at the street.
Now, had you been to fires and other situations where JCP&L or whoever turns the electric off at the street?
Yes.
So it's not the first time you've encountered that, correct?
Correct.
Is there another way to shut it off?
Yes, the meter on the side of the house can be removed, and that'll turn the power off into the house, and it'll just be live back to the street.
Okay. And again, I think you, upon arrival, learned that they did it the street way, right?
Correct.
And in your experience, is there any reason to do it that way?
There's a few different reasons. If that area where the meter is located is compromised, or if it's easier for the utility just to pull up the cutouts at the street for access or whatever. So, you indicated previously that at some point you leave 15 Willowbrook because the fire's out, but you're going to leave a crew overnight, correct? Correct.
Now, before you left the scene, what, if anything, did you do?
Before we left the scene, myself and some of the other chiefs, along with the representative from the fire marshals, we did a 360 on the house. We just wanted to make sure that everything was safe for leaving a crew overnight. So we went for a walk.
Okay. What, if any, observations do you make when you go for the walk around the property?
At that time, we left the command post. We headed west towards the D side of the building. Our main objective was to make sure that utilities were disabled for safety precautions. At that time, we found the meter pan with the cover off and the meter on the ground. Also, we checked the generator. The home had a backup generator. We wanted to make sure that that generator was in the off position. When we inspected the generator had been disabled prior. And for precaution, we disabled the breaker that fed the house, just in case something did go wrong and the generator did start, it wouldn't feed power into the house. And we also disabled the disconnect that was the feed from the solar array that was on the west side of the residence.
Okay, so you mentioned the solar array on the west side of the residence, correct?
Correct.
You mentioned the electrical panel,
The meter pan, yes.
meter pan, and then you also mentioned the generator, correct?
Correct.
Now, starting with respect to that solar panel, and I think we've all kind of seen photos, can you tell us the condition you found it and what, if anything, you did to it, to be clear?
The solar panels were, the disconnect that fed back into the house was still in the closed position, so power could be fed that way. We opened that disconnect up to eliminate any sort of.
Okay, so you're trying to eliminate any ability of that solar panel to feed the house.
Correct.
Now, had that solar panel been feeding the house prior to going around and looking at it? Like,
Yes.
okay. Now, as far as storage goes, did you make any determinations regarding the solar panel and storage or anything like that?
Did not.
Okay. Now, respect to the meter, I wanted to just, if I could show you what S1E, I'm going to show you quickly slide 20. You recognize what's depicted in that photo?
Yes.
And what's that generally?
That is the east side or the D side of the residence behind the garage.
Okay. And then I'm just going to show you slide 22, the same. Recognize that?
Yes.
What do you see there?
That is the meter pan that feeds the house.
Okay. And was that the condition that you first saw it on November 20th, 2018?
Correct.
And then can I have slide 23, please? This is S1E still. And do you recognize that photograph?
Yes.
Is that just a little closer up picture?
Yes.
And do you see anything on the ground there?
The cover to the meter pan.
And then also S1, I'm sorry.
And also the meter in the shrubs.
Okay. I'm going to show you slide 24 of S1E. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What's that?
That is the meter to the house.
Okay. Now, were you made aware of anyone that had contact with that meter panel prior to your inspection of it?
We discussed it with the incident command team. Nobody was instructed to remove that meter or do anything with the power. Jersey Central was called to disconnect the power from the house. That's where we stopped.
Now, fair to say, as fire chief and as a firefighter, have you been to many fire scenes?
Yes.
And have you paid attention to electric at those fire scenes in the past?
Yes.
Now, is it normal to find the meter on the ground?
No.
Is it normal to encounter a meter that doesn't have that door on it?
No.
Would your firefighters ever, under your command, take the door off and leave it on the ground?
Just kidding. Speculative.
If you know.
They would ever judge. In this case, they didn't.
If you know, have you ever had a situation where someone took the actual door off the meter in one of your fire investigations?
Not in my 19 years of doing this.
Okay.
Now, I want to direct your attention, I think you went next to the generator, correct?
Correct.
And could I have slide 26, please? Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Now, does that fairly and accurately depict the generator that you located or made observations of at Keith Caneiro's house on November 20th?
Yes.
Now, those two front doors that we're looking at, what are we looking at there?
Those are the compartment doors to the engine for the generator.
See, I'm going to show you a few photos from S1C, 15 Willowbrook.